Was the front door open or did you come to the side door?
Side door, and it was open.
That one I had unlocked, so. Forgot to start the recording, so we'll start that now. Apologize. But I want to, any questions you have on budget issues or looking ahead to the next year, this is a great time to bring them all up. And if you don't have any, that's okay. That's a lot. All right. Don't hear any, don't see any. I don't have any business updates that you haven't heard already in terms of openings, closings, and new businesses, other than the council has approved 55 West Moody, which is in the old Webster district, but that is the Bank of America drive-through in the old Webster area. That went to council for a rezone to planned commercial and for a use there for multifamily housing and still continuing at least one drive-through ATM in that space. So that has been approved, but I'll turn it to Councilwoman Richardson if there's anything else from the city's perspective you want to bring up. We will talk about Prop U and streetscape. Just going to knock these things out before we get there.
Sure. I would just add a reminder that tomorrow is the holiday gathering for those who are able to join at 7, and would love to meet folks in person. I realize I haven't been to in-person meetings much, but I would love to see you there if you're there. But yeah, it's been a busy couple of months with the Douglas Hill stuff, and then we're working on strategic planning early in the year next year, so that'll be a big kind of big start to our year for council. And welcome input from all of you, or in terms of what priorities you'd like to see, and yeah, just there's a lot to look forward to in the coming year. So excited to see some of these projects moving forward. But I'm happy to take questions if anybody has questions.
I just wanted to ask, I know that at our last meeting, we had decided we were going to write a letter of approval about the Douglas Hill. I never saw that letter. Was that?
Yeah, so yes, it was. It was written and Bob approved it. I'm sorry if we didn't get it out to you. We'll send it. We'll make sure it gets out to you all so you have it. So
okay, thank you.
I remember seeing it. So
yeah, I did not.
Okay, we'll get that out to you. Anything else, Madam Councilwoman?
no, I'm okay unless people want to ask questions.
Okay. Well, I completely forgot, and thank you for bringing up the holiday party, because we do hope to see you all there tomorrow. It should be a fun time. So, and you don't have to worry about a full dinner. It's a nice dessert buffet. So enjoy some time together. And we do have a gift for all of you for your service and way of saying thanks for continuing to be on Zoom and in person throughout the course of the year. So why don't we work backwards then in Proposition U? I asked for this to be on the ballot so that you are aware and making sure all the business districts know what Proposition U will be. This is the local online use tax. This is very similar but different than the use tax conversation that happened in April of this year and early the first quarter of this year. Local use tax is not a new sales tax. It is a tax that goes on online sales for items from people not located within Arizona, or excuse me, through Missouri, sorry. This comes out of the Wayfair decision. For many years, online sales were not taxed at the same rate. Some folks had started to do it voluntarily. Some companies have, but many have not. In fact, the other day I ordered from an Amazon merchant through the Amazon portal, and of course I had no sales tax, none whatsoever. The use tax, should the council put it on the ballot as a proposition, would implement a tax on online purchases that happen by Webster Grove residents and apply the local sales tax that we already have, the same rate of 1.5% to that transaction. The state has already implemented this in the beginning of January, so it'll start on January 2023, and the local governments have the opportunity to do the same through proposition. So we are likely, I should say the council has one more vote, going to be asking the citizens to implement the local use tax for online purchases. What is different from the last time that the voters saw this is now that the legislature has acted, there is no need for you, the purchaser, you, the buyer here in Webster Groves, to do any extra paperwork and send us forms that would have been under the old model before the legislature acted. It is just like a sales tax now, in that you pay the purchaser or the seller the amount of sales tax that is required, the rate, through that use tax, and they will remit it to the state, and the state will remit our portion to us. So it's very much a different mechanism for collecting the use tax, which will be very easy. So Allison, if you were to go to Wayfair and buy a couch, you could not have to worry about doing forms and such like that. It would just simply go right on your purchase price, as most things do on online sales. Why is this important? Obviously, there's a revenue component for the city, and that should not be waylaid, and that certainly would be helpful for the city. But from my perspective, even more important is I look around our town and have this backbone of small businesses, design firms, boutiques, and such that I see. If I'm going to walk into a nice store and I get a great design feature and I'm like, I really want that couch, and they're going to sell it to me. But if I'm a shopper who pays attention to my tax rates, I'm going to save $150 by not paying a sales tax here for this local purchase from my business by going to Wayfair and buying a very comparable piece of furniture. And so we have an unbalanced playing field for our local businesses versus the online industry that can really out-of-state corporations that have that ability to avoid the tax burden that others would have shopping locally. So same with a boutique, dress at Paisley, or gifts from Zoe's Attic, take your pick around town, all the different businesses. So the use tax, again, is on retail type purchases. It's meant to level the playing field for our local businesses. I expect the council to put it on the ballot in April. Unless something really changes between today and next Tuesday, I fully expect that to happen. We wanted to kick off this conversation. There will be a whole campaign from the city, but I wanted you to know before it actually comes to the ballot, the business districts, what we're talking about. So I'm going to turn to Councilwoman Richardson. Is there anything from your perspective about the use tax, since this is in front of the council, you wanted to add? And then we'll pop it open for questions.
No, I just, I agree. I'm happy to hear the changes from when we put it on the ballot previously, and all the difficulties that would be involved in trying to report, what you had purchased for remitting sales tax. So the fact that it's now just really simple, I think makes it a lot easier to explain, and hopefully then people will feel a little more informed about their vote. And so we'll see what happens, but yeah, I think it's probably the right time. But I'm happy to also answer questions.
This is Christy. I have a quick question on that. How does it work if somebody's purchasing, say, a sofa from me out of town? Then they don't have that sales tax, correct?
Correct. So it's a sales tax based on it's a use tax based on the buyer's residential address, right? So if I'm a commercial business, buying online, where are we shipping that to, right? And it's here in Webster Groves. So then we're going to have our use tax rate apply, which is the same as our sales tax. So that's the key about this whole thing, is that there's never a different rate. It's the same, just like a sales tax being applied, but it's called a use tax. So that is correct, Christy. If they buy a couch from you and it's through an online portal that you have and are doing, they would, whatever is in their place. So Shrewsbury doesn't have a use tax right now. Let's just use that close example. And let's say they don't pass one. Shrewsbury residents would not pay the use tax because of where that product is being delivered to it and utilized from. So.
And this tax will not apply to services, accounting services, design services?
Exactly. So the tax is only on the things that are in the sales tax base. So things that are currently sales taxed, this would apply to the online purchase of those types of products. And just to clarify again, the state will, their 4.225% of the rate, the state will start taking that on January 1 of 23. So if you're an online purchaser you're going to see that rate there. And this is really about, does Webster Groves put their 1.5% on that as well? The total rate of sales taxation in our city is 9.283%. And that's, when you add up the county rates and all the little special districts, that have sales tax. So there is a lot of other folks that may or may not pass the proposition. If the county doesn't, that's a big chunk of the sales tax rate that the county may not collect on because they may not pass the use tax. So. All right, not seeing anyone else pop up, so I guess we're still at 4, so we're all here, but we'll pop into the streetscape conversation then. We're working backwards, but so we had I'm very happy to report a very, very good meeting from my perspective and from Public Works with the county this past I guess it was 10 days ago now. But big news about the streetscape, and I'm going to pull up, we've shared a set of maps with you all, so I hope you have seen those. I'm going to pull up and get I know it's going to show the budget, but this is what I'm looking for. So this is from Cochrane, from our last meeting and some of the conversations we had. I will get to Gore and Baker, so just park that piece off to the side. But our meeting with the county was really constructive, and what I'm very happy to report to you all is the county is willing, not just willing, but has already started. The county is going to write the grant for the entire streetscape project to the East-West Gateway.
Wow.
So we do not have to do this. We have gotten the county engaged finally, I think, into something we've asked for years, for them to really take ownership of their project, which they have agreed to do. So this project now exists from the Elm Intersection, Elm and Big Bend, all the way through the restriping past the railroad, like we talked about, over to, I believe that's Rock Hill, where it comes back to 2 lanes on Big Bend. Obviously, for the business district, our biggest concern is here, and what you see is black, and then the Elm Intersection. The county is still, we have shown you this before, this is their plan for Elm Intersection that they have drawn up, very preliminary plan. This is obviously not the official drawings, but this is what the Elm Intersection and how the bump outs will work. That they are willing to do. But again, having them write the grant is huge. Part of our points in the conversation we've had with the East-West Gateway before is, how do we get more points? Because this is not simply an active transportation grant, meaning that we're not just doing sidewalk, streetscapes, some remarkings, but we're actually going to repave, mill and overlay from the Elm Intersection all the way to Rock Hill. It is now in the transportation world called a safety improvement. And that will significantly move us up into the category to be funded. In fact, active transportation, which we have gone for a few other times, has rarely ever been funded by the Gateway, simply because there's usually not enough money when they talk about these safety improvements. And by safety, they're obviously meaning we lay better asphalt so cars and drivers are more safe. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that definition, but that is the definition that world uses. So what we have done in the interim, because obviously this, the grant cycle is coming up. They do intend to have the grant ready for our review and for submission this February. So we will be in this grant cycle. This is the interim work that they have asked us to do, which we have agreed to. So I want to point this out. Here's the gas station. If you can see down where it says county to relocate West Leg X-Walk, that's the gas station. We are going to be repositioning this crosswalk so it's shorter across Big Bend, on the Schnook side of Big Bend, on Elm, across that side of Elm. And then we're going to have to build a new ramp in the sidewalk so that people don't have to take the step, the ADA ramp. That will help the immediate pedestrian need for Hickson students right here. So we're going to shorten this sidewalk up, make this shorter, get that ramp put in. And then from there, once the grant is approved and the county feels very good about this grant because of the going to the striping, really having an opportunity this year to get this in, get it funded, and then we can move into construction. We obviously have funds in our current budget for the streetscape, which I'm going to pop back to the bigger map so you can all see this. And you have all these documents. If you don't, let us know. We'll email them again and make sure you have them. But in terms of the streetscape, we will start to align, once we know where we're at on the grant, when do we take out the sidewalks? What's the right move? You know, if we can start sidewalk and streetscape, kind of the lighting conduits and such, if we can start that work ahead of the road improvement. So really the grant cycle is going to tell us what we can be expecting and when to spend that money. And I just want to assure you again, you're not going to lose that money that's in the city budget. We will hold that over as the council has already approved this. What is to be determined, and the county is not opposed to our conversation about what's called the right in, right out. And this of course has to go to council. This is now to Gore and Baker. We have, as you see this blue, right? I'm going to scroll in so you can all see this, hopefully. Come on, there we go. So this is the driveway at the corner of Gore and Baker into this house on the corner. I'm just going to guess that we are not probably going to want to try to have to buy out a property to remove a driveway. So we are going to be looking at how do we help that owner if there is a possibility of being able, instead of having to back out onto Big Bend, how do we get a turnaround built in there so they can pull out? But then also we had talked about what's called the right in, right out. This would take council approval as well, but in reality, that Gore, you could only turn right onto Gore or turn right off of Gore. So you wouldn't be able to take a left-hand Gore onto Big Bend. Same on Baker. Baker, a right onto Big Bend or a right turn onto Baker from Big Bend. The county is not opposed to that in concept. They wanted to run their drawings to make sure that they could get the median built in the right way, get plows through, and that there wasn't some greater safety concern. So I would say that's an open issue, but not one that is, I don't think we should be overly worried. This is a massive win to get the county to take this project and do their job, in our opinion. But they were very gracious about it and they were very helpful. We had a great meeting. They just want to run some looks at this intersection here to make sure we're all in the same spot and that we can, between their work on that road and what we do on the road, we can get it all done. So I'm going to stop talking there and turn it over for questions and thoughts. I know a good chunk of our committee is not on this call, but that is our big update. And I'm, again, very happy that the county has moved in this position to really take this project on and write the grant. So you don't have to spend money. We don't have to spend money with Cochran doing that.
Or try to figure out what wording is going to make it right. I mean, that's been our biggest problem with writing the grant, is saying what they want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's good news.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's best news we've had on this project in a long time.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. We will continue to move forward, obviously, with that. That is the plan. I will get a schedule from Public Works on this interim work here when we anticipate that happening. It'll depend on whether it may be early spring because we'll have to rebuild that curb cut. We could stripe at any point, but this is obviously an interim project that with the children crossing, we do want to try to help get that addressed as soon as we can.
Yeah, let me point out that's not the gas station. The gas station's on the top right. That's the bagel place to the.
Oh,
dentist.
sorry. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
I was backwards and upside down in my mind. Sorry. Gas station's over here.
Right.
This is the part of your road on the other side of Big Elm.
Right.
Thank you,
Right.
Allison. We have two different pictures from two different vantage points. So.
Just out of curiosity, when would all this stuff, if everything goes in the perfect world, when would all this construction and stuff start?
Sure. So the interim could obviously start really soon, this winter, spring, and what's on the map here in front of you. To the overall project, it is likely that the rework of the road itself, the bump outs, those kinds of things may be, if we have a 22 grant approval, we're probably looking at 2025. Now, what's different in that schedule is because the city's already funded its piece of the sidewalks that we talked about, we may be able to accelerate the streetscape style improvements, meaning the sidewalks, the light poles and such like that we would like to see ahead of that well, then the county will come through and do the paving that is done with the federal grants that would come at a later time. So that's just, we find out where the grant's at, and then we can build that schedule around it. But I would expect the bulk of it, namely the restriping and the big work on the street itself, to be 2025.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you.
Well, that was my big news, and why I wanted to have you all meet in December, was to be able to go over that news. But I think you all have these files. If anyone didn't get them, let us know. We'll send them out to you again. But that's good news. And I just want to say the county was wonderful to work with. I don't know how things have gone in the past, but Ray Golick, our area engineer, and Glenn Henning, who is the deputy of the department, we met, and they opened the meeting with, well, we're going to do the grant. And so we've got, and we came back and made sure that was going to happen. That is what is happening. And even since then, we've seen a couple preliminary questions from them to make sure they've got, overall intents and purposes laid out correctly. Obviously, the Hickson students is a helping factor for the intersection. But then again, while it may not be the thing we all think of, going to the concept of repaving the road and restriping the road is a safety thing in the transportation world, and that will greatly improve our grant scoring. So
Congratulations. It's really exciting.
That's excellent news.
good. We've hopped all over. There are no visitors, so I'm going to, is there anything else that we need to talk about? Any folks have questions, comments, concerns?
I keep getting a lot of questions about what's going on with the bagel place. What's going on with the bagel place? And I have no idea. Do you have any updates on that?
I have the same answer for you, because I know they continue to tell planning and development they're doing work, and there's inspections here and there, but I do not know. I've not had a report to me on, we anticipate opening this day or that day. So I think they're closer, but that's me guessing just from the things I'm pulling out of conversations.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you.
I always see their door open when they're working, and it doesn't look like it's going to be opening anytime soon.
I do. I like a good bagel, so I'm hopeful for this. So. All right, if nothing else, then we will meet again on Thursday, January 20th for their next meeting. And we did send out a schedule of dates. I think you got that from Fran. I just want to be clear, if you want to cancel a meeting or move a meeting, that's fine. I just wanted you all to have the dates so you could put them in your calendar for every month. So if there are traditional months that you want to take off or not meet, we can always cancel meetings and such. But I'm looking forward to a great 2022 with you all.
Us too.
Nothing else on the agenda. We will take a motion to adjourn. Is there somebody who wants to move?
I can motion, Christie. Can motion.
And a second, just to make it official. Allison, can you second that?
I second that.
All right, there we go. Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you all.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Christmas. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas. Have a great
Happy
day.
holidays.
Bye,
Blessed
guys.
you all.